Shabbat Shalom. Yes, huh? Page 128. If you have a siddur or prayer book, you can follow along. Page 128, Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman, Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman, Neshochav Decha El Retzonecha, Neshochav Decha Yada da 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 El Retzonecha Yarutz Avdecha Kemo Hayam Yishtachavei Yada da 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 El Retzonecha Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman Neshochav Decha El Retzonecha Neshochav Decha Yada la 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 El Retzonecha. We'll continue welcoming in Shabbat, page 142, with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharetz, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem. Boachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeitchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Our rabbis in the mystical tradition teach that that prayer that we just sang, Shalom Aleichem, is to welcome the angels that come down and spend Shabbos with us. In a very creepy kind of way, they're supposed to look in our windows, which is just kind of off-putting to begin with, but to see if we've set our table for Shabbat, if we've readied our home and our family, and if everything is in place, then they spend Shabbat with us, so that no one should feel alone, so that everyone should feel the sense of warmth and community on Shabbat. Angels or not, we feel that in this space right now. As we celebrate Shabbat with the Jaffe family, a very special Shabbat, not only for them, but for our congregation, as Tova is called to Torah tomorrow morning. The Jaffe is such an important part of our community. You're all important, but Jen runs the religious school. That's really important. And Joel makes fantastic smoked meat and hot dogs on the last Sunday of school. That's really important too. And so angels or not, we feel a warmth and a joy and a sense of Kedusha, of holiness, this evening as we celebrate Shabbat together. And we look to our candles, and they need to be lit. And so we're going to ask Jen and Fran and Robin and Tova to come up and help us read and then light the Shabbos candles. Don't read the candles, but do a reading and then light the Shabbos candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who've kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. So I have a question for you to ponder as we begin our Kabbalat Shabbat service. Think about perhaps an experience or a time in your life when you felt prayerful or connected to something greater, perhaps. What were the sights, the sounds, the smells around you? Maybe you were singing with your friends at camp, out in nature, or maybe you were in a synagogue. Week after week, we come back to the same words of our prayers, of our liturgy, because those words can help us connect with something greater. We need that reminder to stop, slow down, find some gratitude for our life, for all the exciting simchas that we're celebrating, or just the beauty that is all around us. So we'll start with the words of Psalms that have a lot of images of nature and the idea that everything from great big mountains to a single blade of grass can give praise to its creator. So we start with Lechu Neranena, page 130. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai. If you don't know the words, you can just say Yalalai. Lechu Neranena l'Adonai, Maria letzur yishenu. Lechu Neranena l'Adonai, Maria letzur yishenu. Nekadma fanav betodah, mizmirot Maria lo. Nekadma fanav betodah, mizmirot Maria lo. Page 133, Mizmor Shiru, Psalm 98. Mizmor Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Hadash, Ki niflaot asa, Hoshia lo yamino roach, Hodshodia, Adonai Yeshuato, Le'nei Adonai Gilad Tzedko, Zachar chasto be'emunato, Le'beit Yisrael. Yalalai, 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 On the top of 134. first two lines. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra. Zameru, zamru, l'Adonai. Zameru, zamru, l'Adonai. From the top. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra. Zameru, zamru, l'Adonai. Zameru, zamru, l'Adonai. Last time. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra.
In the 16th century, the Kabbalists, these mystical people that Rabbi Dan was talking about, every Friday night they would dress up all in white and go out into their fields because that was where they felt the most holy, like the most prayerful, actually. And so I'm wondering if you can take a moment to think about your week. Was there a moment this week that you felt holy? It could have been going outside and actually enjoying the nature around us, seeing our sun out in the sky. It could have been a moment of connection, embracing someone that you hadn't seen in a long time, or maybe even making the spark of a new friend. Or it could have been 5 minutes alone on the couch with nobody to bother you. Take a second. When was this holy moment for you this week? Everybody have one? So when we rise and we greet our Sabbath bride, I want you to bring that holy moment to the forefront of your mind so that we can all be in a space, a prayerful space, a holy space together. We're on page 138, L'Charodi.
L'Charodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Oh, L'Charodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, ishmianu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'liktila. Oh, L'Charodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. entrance to greet the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam v'simcha u'v'tzola, tolechem b'nei am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Amazing friend, one more time all together. Turning to page 140. You may be seated as we continue with the psalm for Shabbat. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Le'agim b'boker chasecha. Ve'emunatcha b'leilot. Mizmor Shir. Mizmor Shir le'yom HaShabbat. Tov le'odot l'Adonai. Mizmor Shir le'yom HaShabbat. Tov le'odot l'Adonai.
So Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And we're going to now turn to page 263 as we prepare for this next part of our service. We're going to invite Tova to join us on the bima as well as she helps to lead our service.
And
Invite
one
everyone.
more special guest.
And one more special guest as well, Paloma Delisle, who's here, who's going to help lead some of the music of our service too. But for now, we'll invite everyone to please rise for Chatzi Kaddish.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, everyone. Did not think that was going to happen. Here we go. Moving that aside. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ואלמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכו וביומכו ובחייתכו בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי דקודשא בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Amvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. Join with Tova on page 265 and Paloma in this version of Ma'ariv Aravim, Roll into Dark.
Roll into dark, roll into comes day. Day turns to night. Bore, bore, yom v'layla. Golel or mipnei Hoshe. Golel or mipnei Hoshe. Ve'Hoshe mipnei roll into dark. Roll into dark. Roll into light. Night becomes day. Day turns to night. Roll into dark. Roll into light. Night becomes day. Day turns to night. Baruch atah Adonai Ma'arim Aravim.
Page 266.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amhavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shovheinu u'v'komeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam le'olam va'ed ki hem hayenu ve'orech yameinu u'vahem negeh yomam v'layla.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levavecha v'dibarta ba'am v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'vleftecha v'derech u'shofbecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We'll continue with the reading on the bottom of page 269.
We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learn God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Zelianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch, le'olam va'ed. V'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, uge'alo mi'ad hazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
Invite Paloma to come back to lead us in Hashkivenu on page 271.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom. Of your name, shield us from hatred, from sorrow and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom. V'hayiteinu shomreinu lechaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom. V'hayiteinu shomreinu lechaim. Two more times. Lechaim. One more time. Lechaim.
If that melody was new to you, that's a beautiful Hashkivenu that's sung very regularly at Camp Kalsman, where Tova is a camper and Paloma is one of the song leaders, as well as one of our temple's song leaders. And it's nice to hear all the campers out there who are singing along. So our service continues now as we turn in our siddur to page 272 with Yismechu.
Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei onei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei onei Shabbat. Mekadeshei, Mekadeshei Shemi Shabbat, Kulam Yiseo, Ve'itangu mituvecha Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei onei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei onei Shabbat. V'hashvi ratzita bo v'kidasho Shabbat. Chemdat yamim oto karata Shabbat. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת.
Rise together for the Amidah, beginning on page 273.
Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi agid teilatecha, ufi agid teilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham v'Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanorah, El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim Konei Hakol V'Zocher Asdei Avot v'Imaot Umegula Livnei Lehem L'man Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mehayeh Metim Atah Rav Le'Oshia Morid Hatah Mehachel Hayim Behesed Mehayeh Metim Berachamim Rabim Someh Noflim Ve'Rofeh Holim Umatir Asurim Umekayeh Emunato Lishenei Afar Mihamo Haba'al Gevuro Umidomela Melech Memi Umehaye Umathni Alashua Benemanata Lahayot Metim. Baruch atah Adonai Mehaye Hametim.
Page 276.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Amen.
Please be seated. Yasher Koach Tova. Beautiful job. See you again at the end of the service, but for now we're going to continue on page 279, Ritzeh.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ava tekabel u'tehilei ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael. Yisrael Amecha El Karov Lechol Borav Penei אל עבדיך וחוננו, שפוך רוחך עלינו, ותחזינה עינינו, ושובך לציון. ברחמים, ברוך אתה, אדוני, המחזיר שכינתו לציון, לציון.
So I love this time of year because I love strawberries. And it's strawberry season right now. And I went to the grocery store today and I brought strawberries and they were enormous. They were so big. My daughter's like, wow, they're the size of my head. I mean, they weren't quite the size of her head, but they were very big strawberries. And as she said that, I thought, oh, those are good for the parasha because, this is how a rabbi thinks, because this parasha, Shlach Lecha, that Tova will read tomorrow, is the story of the spies that are sent, that Moses sends out to go scout the land of Israel as they're preparing to go in to live there. Doesn't go so well. Spoiler, they have to wander for another 40 years. But when they go, Moses tells them to figure out what the produce is like. He wants to know lots of things. What the cities are like, what the people are like, but specifically, what's the produce like? And they come back with enormous grapes. The grapes are so big, it says that they have to actually carry them on a staff. And if you know the tourism logo in Israel, it's the spies carrying the grapes. But I wonder, were the grapes really so big? I mean, we don't really know exactly what they look like. But I wonder if they were so big or if they just appeared big, if they just appeared really incredible to these Israelites who had never maybe known grapes, or maybe only known grapes that were fed to the Egyptians who were their taskmasters, but never for themselves. That there's something about seeing something really incredible, whether it's in nature or in our homes or the grocery store or wherever we are in our lives, that when we see something and can appreciate it, and maybe because it's for the first time, or maybe because it's the way that we've been experiencing the world at that very moment, sometimes we can see things and they can look very big to us in a beautiful and wonderful way. Not in an overwhelming way, but in a way of blessing. And sometimes I think we get used to things. We don't really realize how incredible the grapes and the strawberries and all the things around us really are. But if we take a little moment to kind of see things with fresh eyes for the first time, maybe we can see the blessings for the great things that truly they are in our lives and in our world. So we will give thanks together as we do each time we gather in prayer with our prayer of hoda'ah, of gratitude, on page 280. 4 lines from the bottom, V'al nisecha.
V'al nisecha shebechol yom, erev v'boker v'tzoraim, me'olam kivinu lach, me'olam kivinu lach. Atov ki lo chalu rachamecha, v'hamrachem ki lo tamu chasadecha, me'olam kivinu lach, me'olam kivinu lach.
Our prayer for shalom, for wholeness and peace in our world is on page 282.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. לעולם. טוב עיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Take some time now for our own silent prayer.
עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ראשי תבל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 לה. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו
Invite everyone, if you would, to turn to page 371. The middle of that page is our Misha Berach, our prayer of healing, that we're going to share and recite the names of those in our congregation, people that we are praying that they might find refuah, healing of body, healing of spirit. And I will also invite you, if there are other people you're thinking of for this healing prayer, that we'll add them as well. But in particular this week, we are thinking of Sid Curson, Yeshayahu, Glenda Gutman, Dana Becker, Stephanie Stanberg, Sarah Chiachi, Yaakov ben Yosef Abatia, Michael Cohen, Reuven ben Zlota Nachman, Lynn Curson, Wendy Seelig and Roger Seelig, Yaakov Eliezer ben Kalev Paula, Natalie Wormelli, Yumkin Godin, Tzemach ben Menashe Halevi Varikla, Meir Tzvi, Meir Zalman ben Rachel, Daniel Gottesman, Bill Shaw, Claire Columbia, Carla Zivit, Janet Gelb, David Shlomo Gorney, and Andrea Jarzbiak. And again, if there are other people you're thinking of, if you would stand and share their names at this time.
מי שברח strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. Mazel Tov again, Tova. We're looking forward to your reading Torah tomorrow morning. You did great tonight. I want to just draw your attention to some of the announcements that we have in our handout this evening. Lots going on at the synagogue in addition to Tova's bat mitzvah. On Tuesday night is our annual general meeting for our congregation. That'll be here in the sanctuary. If you can't make it in person, you can join us online via Zoom. You'll be able to participate online as well, but part of the reason that we have the meeting is not just to do the business, but the real business of the synagogue is meeting each other. So come and meet in person. Our parent and babies group has their next gathering on Wednesday, the 21st at noon here. Come, it's a fun get-together, including lunch, music, and story time. Also on Wednesday in the evening, myself and Shirley Hyman, who's a member of our congregation and our representative to ARTSA, which is the Reform Zionist Movement of Canada. We're going to be leading a discussion. She's going to share her reflections on 3 months of living in Israel, just these past, just around Pesach, so during the height of the protest movement to defend democracy in Israel. And we're going to talk about the role that Reform Judaism and Jewish values play in Israel there and what it can play in the future. More going on. I'm not going to read them all to you. There's lots happening at the synagogue. If you like to fish, though, I'm leading a Jewish fishing retreat in September called the Kosher Catch with a K. And if you're interested in fly fishing or trout fishing in general and have a little bit of experience, you can check out more about that online. It's going to be near Kamloops at Tunqua Lake over the Labor Day weekend holiday and a little bit beyond. Any critical announcements, Rabbi Cantor? Rabbi Cantor? I want to welcome Sam Plachkow, who's the brother of Alyssa Plachkow, our rabbinic intern. Sam just got in about a half an hour before services started. We're glad you're here, Sam. They think they're doing the grouse grind this weekend. You can all dissuade them of that when you're over the oneg. You can learn a lot. You can learn a great deal about a person by examining the contents of their inbox on any given day or week. The items that populate one's inbox can provide insights into their interests, their passions, their affiliations. For instance, individuals with an affinity for shoes or clothing are likely to receive numerous advertisements showcasing sales and promotions from their favorite stores. Those who are politically inclined are likely to have their inboxes flooded with opinion pieces and attention-grabbing headlines highlighting various political crises and events. Sports enthusiasts will find themselves receiving updates on trade rumors, speculations, the latest news, even during the off-season. And for rabbis and cantors, such as myself, I'm not a cantor, I'm a rabbi, I'm clearly not a cantor, my inbox is often filled with Torah commentaries, articles on Israel and various Jewish news, events, and headlines. And while some of these subscriptions are curated material, others come directly from you, my congregation, who often ask for my thoughts and opinions on a variety of Jewish topics. And I appreciate this effort to provide me with relevant content, although I must admit that I sometimes struggle to find the time to thoroughly read and respond to everything. But thank you for the homework. Recently, multiple individuals in our congregation forwarded me 2 different articles that at first glance seemed completely unrelated. However, upon closer examination, I discovered what I think is a common thread worth exploring together tonight. One group shared a link to an NPR segment discussing Jewish summer camps. This 4-minute story delved into the intentional origins of this uniquely North American Jewish experience. Now, as someone who attended a Jewish summer camp myself and possesses, I think, a bit of a knowledge of North American Jewish history, I was grateful for the heads up about this particular piece, and I was even delighted to discover that the author of the book that I have been very, very slowly reading every night was featured as a subject in the interview of the piece. Furthermore, knowing that Tova, who is having her bat mitzvah tomorrow, as we've mentioned a few times, along with the whole Jaffe family, shares a love and appreciation for Jewish summer camp, in particular, URJ Camp Kalsman, where our families will be heading this summer, it seemed like an apt topic for tonight's discussion. The second article that many of you shared with me focused on the opening of a new Holocaust museum in Toronto. Surprisingly, despite being the home to one of the world's largest Jewish communities, Toronto did not have a dedicated Holocaust museum until recently. And this new museum is specifically aimed at educating young leaders who will inherit a post-survivor world. It represents a departure from traditional Holocaust museums as it aims to fill the generational void left by the absence of survivors. Jewish summer camps and Holocaust museums. What connects them, and why should that matter to us? First, North American Jewish summer camps. They emerged relatively recently within Judaism. Since our tradition is about 3,500 years old, that's fairly easy to say. The idea of Jews engaging in camping activities was abandoned by many Jews soon after Joshua led the Israelites across the Jordan River at the end of the book of Deuteronomy. After spending 40 years living in tents in the desert, the idea of rustic life became a generational trauma, to be sure. Moreover, for Jews who had resided in the shtetls of Eastern Europe or the bustling cultural centers of the Middle East, the notion of seeking solace in nature was antithetical to their desires. They longed for modern amenities, not more camping, such as running water and paved streets, not to mention indoor plumbing. However, after World War II, when Jews had more opportunities to assimilate and become part of the broader American Jewish culture, Jewish summer camps emerged. They emerged as an immersive space for preserving Jewish culture. Sandra Fox, the professor at NYU, whose book is very slowly being read on my bedside table, wrote in her book, The Jews of Summer, chronicling the expanse of these camps during the mid-20th century. And she wrote, according to her, that the Holocaust had just happened, and American Jews were incredibly anxious about the future of Jewish culture and Judaism as a religion. North American Jewish summer camps then became a way to hold on to and rebuild that heritage. The idea was to take the typical American or Canadian summer camp with its archery and color wars and dining halls and campfire songs and make it reflective of what Jews wanted their future to look like. These camps sought to create a unique form of Jewish tradition. Bunk names and activities were connected to stories from Israel's founding. Similar to how other summer camps incorporated narratives from indigenous cultures, talent shows and featured Hebrew versions of popular songs, and color wars became Maccabiah, complete with obstacle courses inspired by the Israeli Defense Forces. Group experiences and simulations formed the foundation of these camps, emphasizing the idea that being Jewish entailed a distinct identity, a blessing and a curse, to be learned, accepted, and celebrated. And I recall vividly, even in the 1980s, being awakened in the middle of the night to reenact an escape from Nazi Europe. How many of you went through these simulations in your summer camp, right? A departure from the usual camp color war, for sure. We were handed papers that we had to carry around all the time and transported via rowboat in the dark, then in the back of a windowless van, where older kids pretended to be the police, shining flashlights in our faces. And if it wasn't Nazis that we were fleeing, then it was the KGB, and we were becoming refuseniks, Soviet Jews striving to reach the promised land, or Israel, or in the camp setting, the very next best thing, which would have been the canteen for soda and candy bars, truly a land flowing with Milky Ways and bit of honey. These dramatic reenactments always concluded the same way. After indulging in our sugary treats and reuniting with our bunkmates who had either been deported or captured or, God forbid, murdered by the Nazis, we would gather in a large hall on our pavilion to listen to an actual survivor of the concentration camps or a Soviet refusenik who had miraculously escaped. And this was the second set of emails you sent me. This is where it comes into play. The ones about that new Holocaust museum in Toronto. For the first time since the Holocaust, we are faced with the need to build museums that preserve a story that no living person experienced firsthand. That time is here, very soon. Dara Solomon, the museum's executive director, explained, "From the very beginning, our goal was to create a space where we could continue to hear from survivors long after they're gone. The museum's curators made a conscious decision to downplay the graphic and horrifying imagery commonly associated with the Holocaust museums that we grew up with, or my summer camp experience. In the new gallery dedicated to the atrocities, some materials, such as images of mass killings in pits on the outskirts of town, are stored in drawers that viewers have to and must willingly pull out to view. Solomon stated that we deliberately chose not to use incredibly graphic imagery that I grew up with because we know that students don't learn as effectively when they're terrified. And if you make them sad and you scare them, the learning process shuts down. I only wish they had discovered this when I was at summer camp and they woke me up in the middle of the night to the shouts of, 'The Nazis are coming! The Nazis are coming!' However, the fundamental question remains. What is the role of these two core and foundational institutions, the Jewish summer camp and the Holocaust Museum, in what is, I think, a fully assimilated Jewish diaspora that has transitioned into a post-survivor era? That's us. What do we and our children need to ensure that we not only remember our past, but also experience a vibrant and inspiring Jewish present and future? We require Jewish summer camps like Kalsman and Miriam and Hatikva and Schechter, camps that are not mere museums of the past, nostalgic replicas of defunct kibbutzim that no longer exist even in Israel. Instead, we need these camps to serve as laboratories for Jewish innovation in music and art and prayer, social consciousness, and deep interpersonal relationships. It's not sufficient to have Reform camps and conservative camps and Orthodox camps and Zionist camps. We need Jewish camps that bring all of those streams of Judaism together, uniting them into a powerful river that is teeming with Jewish life and vitality. And likewise, we need Holocaust museums and education centers that can translate a story of, look what happened to us, into a narrative of, it can happen again. It can happen to you if we forget. In the absence of survivors who can physically roll up their sleeves and show us in ink and flesh the depths of human cruelty, our museums and education centers must use contemporary atrocities and inhumanities as a mirror, revealing how such horrors originate. And then, pulling open the drawers, we can see the process and, if left unchecked, the unfathomable consequences. I have always believed that if we could replicate what we do at camp within the synagogue, Judaism would thrive. In addition to museums that mourn the tragedies of our people that we have endured, we should build museums that celebrate our accomplishments and our contributions. Only then can the phrase "never again" truly be realized. And we need one more thing. We need Jewish students like Tova, who love being Jewish, and Jewish families like the Jaffes, who model an authentic and intentional blend of Jewish values and modern life. Tova, your bat mitzvah this weekend signifies much more than just your personal journey. It encompasses the essence of who you are and what your family represents, a wonderful, proud, and joy-filled Jewishness. You are the product of a Jewish summer camp that seeks not to dwell in the past for meaning, but to find inspiration in the future. Judaism and Jewish values are woven into every aspect of camp life, from the ropes course and the climbing tower to the art room, the dining hall, and the campfire circle. And your father serves on the board to make sure it is so, and your mother's as an educator to make sure it is learned. And Tova, your bat mitzvah is a celebration not only of Jewish survival, but also of Jewish flourishing. The survivors of the Shoah have borne witness to the fact that the Nazis failed. You, your family, this congregation represent a new chapter in the story of the Jewish people, a story that is not defined by terror and suffering, but by pride and joy and endless possibilities. Tova, the story you and your family are writing is not a history book looking backward. It is a vision of our future, boundless as the stars. And tonight, Tova, you're our guiding light. Shabbat Shalom. Our service continues. Elena, yes? Our service continues with Elena, page 586.
So you actually won't find the exact words on 586, but we're doing a special Aleinu with Paloma, who I don't know if we mentioned before. Do you want to come up for it too? Okay, Tova specifically requested that Paloma lead these pieces, these prayers in our service tonight, which I think is such a beautiful way, as you were saying, Rabbi Dan, to bring that spirit of camp into the synagogue and that Jewish joy and prayerfulness. So I just wanted to read a little bit about this setting of Aleinu from the composer, Dan Nichols, who says, if Baruch Hu at the beginning of the service can be thought of as the call to worship, then it might be reasonable to think of Aleinu at the end of the service as the call to action. We shared our communal redemption story through moments such as Michamocha. We remembered the deeds and faith of our ancestors through the Amidah, and we have recalibrated and re-energized our spirits in communal expression of our dreams and visions. Hopefully the process of prayer during the worship service has made some kind of impact that changes us for the good. With this in mind, Dan Nichols says, this English setting of Aleinu Leshabeach intends to explicitly unpack the core themes of our responsibility and the world's need for action.
Beautiful. Please rise.
I'd like to quickly go over the part that repeats so everyone can be familiar. It is a new tune, so I'd like everyone to have a little part that they can hold on to. So it goes, Aleinu leshabeach, it's time to live our praise. Can we all try that together? Aleinu leshabeach, it's time to live our praise. Nice. It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were free to do. For what's the point of being here if we aren't moved to change our ways? Aleinu leshabeach, it's time to live our praise. Nice. We are carrying the stories of the ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action, it brings meaning to our days. Aleinu leshabeach, it's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own the vision, we are an answer to a call. It's up to us to live the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply, there's a broken world to raise. Aleinu leshabeach, it's time to live our praise again. Aleinu leshabeach, it's time to live our praise.
Shkoach.
Please be seated. We turn in our prayer books to thoughts of loved ones who are not here with us, but whose presence is, whose memory fills us with blessing and warmth, memories of love and compassion, times that we shared together, whose absence is felt particularly at times of simcha and joy, but whose presence is very much here as well. On page 593, the light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, and in light we are seen. The flames dance, and our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. On this Shabbat, we recall those who died during this past week and these past 30 days, whose families are in the midst of Shiva and Shloshim. As I read the name of your loved one, if you could please rise and remain standing. Susan Everall, Jeanette Foxman, Batya Carton, Jerry Lampert, past president of our congregation, Ronnie Margulies, Ron Mintz, Abraham Tubishlach, and those for whom the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the death of your loved one, is on this Shabbat, if you too could rise and remain standing so that we might comfort you in our midst. Morris Benjamin Agalnik, Edith Barnett, Rick Clark, Elaine Cohen, Alan Cooper, Jean Cooperberg, Sloman Fisher, Henya Freeberg, Bert Gladstone, Abe Goldschlager, Annie Gorin, Minnie Grafstein, Rosalind Groschler, Norman Kingdon, Kirk Corner, Dr. Sam Landa, Benjamin Lehrer, Barbara Marks, Chaim Matukov, Charles McKenzie, Isaac Morris, Ida Ostry, Isaac Jack Perrell, Yitzhak Isaac Perrell, Faye Pfeiffer, Harold Pollock, Samuel Evan Primslow, Harriet Ratner, Sidney Rootman, David Rubenstein, Hester Rumberg, Jack Schwartz, Bernice Shaffrin, Henoch Schattenstein, Gideon Stein, Shirley Unico, Maritis Vanderveen, Brian Wetstein, Freddie Zara, Gustav Zoref. If there are others who've come to say Kaddish, names I've missed or mispronounced, if you could rise and call them out one by one as well. Look around the congregation, we see those that have stood in mourning. We don't want them to stand alone, and so we stand now, standing by their side, providing the comfort of our presence, and we invite those who would like to join with them in Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish. Page 598. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, B'yalma Divrach Yerutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayachon of Yomechon, U'v'hayei D'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala U'bizman Kariv, V'yimaru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam U'lamei Omaya. Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitraman V'yitnaseh V'yit Adar V'yit Aleh V'yit Alal Shemei Kudisha B'rechu Le'elam Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tush B'chata V'nechemata Daminron Be'alma V'yimaru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'yakol Yisrael V'yimaru. Amen. Osei Shalom B'romav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'yakol Yisrael V'kol Yoshvei Tevel V'yimaru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort the bereaved among us, and we say together, Amen. Tova, if we can invite you to join Cantor Cohen to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi, and then our closing song.
Vayeher vayevoker yom hashishi, vayehulu hashamayim v'haaretz, v'hol tevam, v'haElohim bayom hashvi'i, melato asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi'i, mikol melato asher asa. Vayer Elohim et yom hashvi'i, וקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו. בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנהלנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תהילה למקרא קודש, זהר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנהלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Hi.
And now we're going to uncover the challah. Yep, all the way. What's under there? It's challah. We're going to join together in Hamotzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Te'avon.
We'll join with Cantor Cohen in our closing song, which
Page
is
625. Adon olam, asher malach, beterem kon, yetzir nivra leit nasa, vechefzo kol, azai melech shemo nikra Adon olam, ve'acharei tichlot hakol, levado imloch nora Adon olam, ve'hu haya, ve'hu hove, ve'hu yeh v'tifara Adon olam, asher malach, beterem kol, yetzir nivra leit nasa, v'chefzo kol, azai melech shemo nikra Adon olam.
services tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.